Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. Tonight we are continuing to read Eragon by Christopher Paolini, the first in the Inheritance cycle. So, yay! So, a few of you, very few of you, might have a question about what about the Eragon video for last week? What about the Anwars video for Monday? And what about the next episode of The Raven Speaks that will talk about David from Animorphs? Well, for Eragon last week, last Tuesday, I just had to be running around nearly all day, so I had little time to write, and so I was like, okay, I'll just take Wednesday to do writing, and so I didn't get the Eragon video out. For Monday, I didn't get an Animorphs dramatic reading out because it was not a good mental health day, so I just decided to totally relax, and yeah, so I basically took the day off there. And for the upcoming The Raven Speaks, I have had time enough to do a nice basic outline, but I have not had time to write it, sadly, which has been killing me because I have this nice, beautiful outline, and then I can't find time each day to write, so hopefully in a day or two I'll be able to start to write it, so. Hey. And with the lovely news updates out of the way, let's get started on finishing up this chapter of Eragon. And the chapters in the books are marked, and so yeah. Okay, let's do this. A third person spoke. The voice was deep and moist. It conjured up images of creeping decay, mold, and other things best left untouched. Are you sure? We would hate to think you had made a mistake. If that were so, it would be most unpleasant. Eragon could only imagine too well what they might do. Would anyone but the Empire dare threaten people like that? Probably not. But whoever sent the egg might be powerful enough to use force with impunity. Yeah, I'm sure. He had it then. I'm not lying. Plenty of people know about it. Go ask them. Sloane sounded shaken. He said something else that Eragon did not catch. They have been rather uncooperative. The words were derisive. There was a pause. Your information has been helpful. We will not forget you. Eragon believed him. Sloane muttered something. Then Eragon heard someone hurrying away. He peered around the corner to see what was happening. Two tall men stood in the street. Both were dressed in long black cloaks that were lifted by sheaths poking past their legs. On their shirts were insignias intricately wrought with silver thread. Hoods shaded their faces, and their hands were covered by gloves. Their backs were oddly humped, as though their clothes were stuffed with padding. Eragon shifted slightly to get a better view. One of the strangers stiffened and grunted peculiarly to his companion. They both swiveled around and sank into crouches. Eragon's breath caught. Mortal fear clenched him. His eyes locked onto their hidden faces, and a stifling power fell over his mind, keeping him in place. He struggled against it and screamed to himself, "Move!" His legs swayed, but to no avail. The strangers stalked toward him with a smooth, noiseless gait. He knew they could see his face now. They were almost the corner, hands grasping at swords. Eragon! He jerked as his name was called. The strangers froze in place and hissed. Rom hurried toward him from the side, head bare and staff in hand. The strangers were blocked from the old man's view. Eragon tried to warn him, but his tongue and arms would not stir. "Eragon!" cried Brom again. The strangers gave Eragon one last look, then slipped away between the houses. Eragon collapsed to the ground, shivering. Sweat beaded on his forehead and made his palms sticky. The old man offered Eragon a hand and pulled him up with a strong arm. "You look sick. Is all well?" Eragon gulped and nodded mutely. His eyes flickered around, searching for anything unusual. "I just got dizzy all of a sudden. It's passed. It was very odd. I don't know why it happened." "You'll recover," said Brom. "But perhaps it would be better if you went home." "Yes, I have to get home. Have to get there before they do." I think you're right. Maybe I'm getting ill." "Then home is the best place for you. It's a long walk, but I'm sure you will feel better by the time you arrive. Let me escort you to the road." Eragon did not protest as Brom took his arm and led him away at a quick pace. Brom's staff crunched in the snow as they passed the houses. "Why were you looking for me?" Brom shrugged. "Simple curiosity. I learned you were in town and wondered if you had remembered the name of that traitor." "Traitor? What's he talking about?" Eragon stared blankly. His confusion caught the attention of Brom's probing eyes. "No," he said, and then amended himself. I'm afraid I still don't remember." Brom sighed gruffly, as if something had been confirmed, and rubbed his eagle nose. "Well then, if you do, come tell me. I am most interested in this traitor who pretends to know so much about dragons." Eragon nodded with a distracted air. They walked in silence to the road. Then Brom said, "Hasten home. I don't think it would be a good idea to tarry on the way." He offered a gnarled hand. Eragon shook it, but as he let go, something in Brom's hand caught on his mitt and pulled it off. It fell to the ground. The old man picked it up. "Clumsy of me," he apologized and handed it back. As Eragon took the mitt, Brom's strong fingers wrapped around his wrist and twisted sharply. His palm briefly faced upward, revealing the silvery mark. Brom's eyes glinted, but he let Eragon yank his hand back and jam it into the mitt. Goodbye, Eragon forced out, perturbed, and hurried down the road. Behind him, he heard Brom whistling a merry tune. And we have finally finished that chapter. Yay! We did it, folks! We finished another chapter. And now we made it all the way to page 70 of, let's see how many pages of a 497 page book. Woo, we're making progress. Probably if I'm finished reading the entire Animorph series, doing that dramatic reading and doing the host dramatic reading, and I'm still doing Eragon, this will be going much faster, so I'll be reading it twice a week instead of once a week. So I think it's safe to say that, well, if Brom knows so much about dragons, he probably knows about the whole sigil that, Eragon has, because I highly doubt that, okay, I just saying, I was going to say, hey, I highly doubt Eragon's the only one that has it, and, I've read the entire books, I think 2 or 3 times, so, but I think so let me rephrase that. I think it's really apparent that Eragon's not the only one with that sigil that's very, writer mark. And so what Brom did was confirm that Eragon is a writer, okay, hey, look, he has the sigil there. It's like, oh, oops, let's make this excuse to pull off the gloves. So, the mitt, so, yeah. If Brom had any doubt before that Eragon wasn't a dragon, okay, let me edit that to actually be a correct sentence. If Brom had any doubt that Eragon is a dragon rider, that doubt has now been removed. Brom has to be very well aware that Eragon, what Eragon is now. And I like how he's like, oh yeah, I'm just coming here to, see the traitor. And Eragon, who has completely forgotten his lie he made up, is like, what the hell are you talking about? What's he talking about? And then Eragon's like, oh yeah, that lie, that excuse I made, that was totally 100% foolproof that no one could see through it. Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah. So, okay, for the question for this day's video is, why do you think Brom just happened to be in the right place at the right time? Comment down below, and also comment on anything else you notice about this chapter. But remember, no major spoilers. I'm sort of hoping that maybe people find the inheritance cycle through these videos. So, there's some twists and turns coming up that you shouldn't be aware of the first time. So when you're reading, you're like, oh my gosh! So, no major spoilers. Minor spoilers, okay. Major spoilers, no. And if you like this video, press that like button. And also, if you think, Eragon is the bestest liar ever, also press that like button. And remember to subscribe, because I'm going to be reading the entire inheritance cycle very slowly, but I'll be reading it, so you don't want to miss a thing. Also, if you do want to read the actual book, because the book is awesome, hence I'm reading it, you can, wherever I post this video, I post a link to this lovely book here. So yeah. And I hope everyone is staying safe, staying as sane as possible. Like I did with Monday, if you're just having an off mental day and you can just put off certain tasks, just take like the day off and just relax, so you can recover mentally for whatever else the upcoming days may bring. And if you are one of the essential workers, I unfortunately can't do anything much more than say thank you very much for your service. You're having to fucking put up with lunatics that are like not wearing their face masks because freedom. And God, I haven't had to go out much, so I haven't gone out much. But today in a parking lot, some idiot was mouthing the words sheep to me and my husband because we were wearing masks. So I'm sorry, I can't do much more than say thank you very much, and you should not have to put up with as much bullshit as you do for such little pay. And until next video, goodbye. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's 2 buttons I have to click to end the stream. I am deaf. My brain is working.